This is a data overview for West Hall High School, which will be analyzing the EOC scores from the years 2015 to 2018. And these are school year data, so 2015 encompasses the school year 2014 to 2015, and 2018 encompasses the year 2017 to 2018. And this presentation was made to the Social Studies faculty and the administration of West Hall High School using the data from those years. This presentation was catered using data specifically for social studies classes at West Hall High School, and even more specifically, the classes that have a state assessment at the end, specifically economics and United States history over that 4-year span. Using that data, the purpose of this presentation is to provide a roadmap to developing an action plan for targeted improvement in the needs improvement areas for the Social Studies Department at West Hall. But first, let's take a look at the student population as a whole for West Hall High School so that we'll have a better understanding of the background of this data. This shows the school enrollment based on FTE data from the 2015 to 2018 school years. Again, that's 2014 to 15 is the first year, 2017 to 18 is the last year. So that you can see that the school enrollment data maintains a fairly consistent clip, with the one outlier being the 2015 to 2016 school year. The school's enrollment is pretty consistent over the course of these 4 years. West Hall High School is consistently slightly more female than male amongst the student population. This number can range from 52% to 55% over the course of the 4 years, but remains in that band throughout. Racially, the school is made up of 2 predominant groups and then a small minority of African American students, and then an other category which includes Pacific Islanders, Asian Americans, and Native Americans. As you can see, the white and Hispanic populations remain pretty consistent at the top, with Hispanics outpacing the whites just slightly over the course of these 4 years. This makes West Hall High School a majority-minority school based on its Hispanic population. This chart shows students with disabilities, those students that are economically disadvantaged, and those students who are served with an ELL program, either monitored or served as shown by the state of Georgia data. These 3 subgroups are very consistent over the course of 4 years. The graduation rate at the school is also consistently in the mid-90s percentile over the course of these 4 years. One outlier again being the 2016-2017 school year. The graduation rate has been a point of pride for the school over the course of these 4 years, and it is something that is a point of emphasis for the administration. The trends at West Hall High School are as follows. There are consistently more female students than males, again on average around 52% over the course of these 4 years. About 6 out of 10 students at West Hall High School are shown to be economically disadvantaged. One of the primary sources of that data, those who are on free and reduced lunch programs. the number of those that have been recorded to have a cognitive, learning, or physical disability averages to be 38% over those 4 years, which makes the school's special education program robust. As previously shown, about half of the student population is Hispanic. And of those students, about 1 out of 4 is being monitored or served by the EL program. And as shown on the previous slide, graduation rates remain consistent. Knowing this information about the school and its demographic data, let's look more specifically at the results of the EOCs in social studies over those 4 years. Again, a reminder that milestone testing for social studies, according to the state of Georgia, encompasses economics and United States history classes. First, let's look at economics. These results show the number of students taking an economics EOC and those that passed over these 4 years. The numbers taking the economics EOC ranged from 171 to as high as 176 over these 4 years. The pass rate is fairly flat from 2015 to 2017 and shows an increase in 2018. Here's the specific data for students that met or exceeded, that means are proficient or distinguished learners according to the state's levels over these 4 years. 64% in 2015, 63% in 2016, 65% in 2017, and a spike up to 78% in 2018. Now let's look at the United States history results. There are slightly more students enrolled in and taking the United States history course and EOC at West Hall over these 4 years than took economics. This is predominantly due to the fact that United States history is generally a sophomore or junior class, while econ is generally a senior class at the school. You'll notice similar results in terms of meets and exceeds, though the overall mark is lower. Again, the trend is similar, but the marks are overall lower than they were for econ. The percentage of students passing the U.S. History EOC increased sharply in 2017 through 2018, similarly to econ. The numbers are 48% distinguished or proficient learners in 2015, 50% in 2016, 53% in 2017, and 72% in 2018. This chart compares West Hall High School with its district, the Hall County Schools, and the state as a whole in terms of United States history and economics EOC pass rates over just in 2018. This data was not readily available for the other 3 years. As you can see, when it comes to U.S. history and econ results, the school remains slightly below the district and even more so below the state in terms of proficient and distinguished learners over that year. Now let's analyze the specific social studies EOC data at West Hall High School. Let's look at the strengths of the data. The data shows that students in social studies at West Hall High School are increasing their proficiency over the last 4 years across EOC results, and the school improvement plan goals of increasing raw results on EOCs in terms of those that are distinguished or proficient learners was met for 2017-2018. Next, let's look at the areas of improvement. The number one area of improvement is to get West Hall High School students to match or beat the district and state averages in terms of pass rates for the Social Studies EOC. The school remains behind its counterparts in other areas of the district and state, even in spite of similar data in terms of student makeup and population. Upon reviewing the lesson plans for social studies teachers, those plans and the reflections that follow should show more consistent interventions regularly in their classroom. This will help increase student proficiency in the content knowledge and ultimately lead to better pass rates on the state assessments. Some things we might discuss doing going forward. More use of the USA Test Prep software to help students practice for the test. This particular software has shown to be beneficial to students of an English language learning population because it helps them with vocabulary. It also helps students with learning disabilities for the same reason. We can provide more pull-out sessions for marginal students, that is, those that are on the cusp of becoming a proficient or distinguished learner. We'll need to try to convince our district to provide more attention both financially and otherwise to schools like ours that have a larger population of those learning to speak English. These resources will help this population as a whole, which believes to be the highest area of growth. As a department, we can provide more collaboration to ourselves to help us provide consistent instruction and assessment for all the students in social studies classes. That's not just specific teachers, but department-wide. We'll also provide new PL sessions on the new standards, which we're still implementing, the teacher notes that the state put out, and those strategies that can be used to improve assessment results. For those of us in this room, we are all involved in the social studies department as teachers or co-teachers, or we're invested in the department because we are administrators in the school. So this should be a growing process together. Based on what we know of our department and school, how successful do we think it would be to further the data analysis by subgroups, that is to break down the data more based on students by race, by gender, by English language learning at home, and by those with learning and cognitive disabilities? Will that help us reveal further patterns in the data going forward? The second thing to think about is, what are we going to do with this data? How is it going to impact our lesson planning and assessment strategies individually and as a department? And then specifically, what strategies are we going to use to improve our state test results in social studies? We can see from the data that there has been some progress made, but we can also see that there is more progress yet to be made. What strategies will we use to do that? And finally, how can our school data team support social studies teachers? What data can they collect for us, and what data can they crunch and analyze for us? And how will that help us as social studies teachers do our job better? These are the references for this data and this presentation. I thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day.